Brian Hugh Warner was born on January 5, 1969 in Canton, Ohio, the only child of Barbara Wire Warner, a nurse, and Hugh Angus Warner, a furniture salesman and Vietnam veteran. The family lived in a modest ranch house on Whipple Avenue in W. From the beginning, Brian was an outsider. He was a pale, skinny kid with a pronounced overbite and a mop of dark hair who preferred horror comics and Dungeons and Dragons to football. His childhood was steeped in religious contradiction. His mother was a devout Episcopalian who dragged him to church every Sunday at St. Paul's Episcopal in Canton. His father, by contrast, was an atheist who openly mocked religion and kept a collection of pornography in the basement. Brian later claimed his father worked as a salesman for a company that manufactured Agent Orange-related chemicals, though this has never been verified. What is verifiable is that Hugh Warner suffered severe PTSD from Vietnam and was prone to violent outbursts. Brian would recall hearing his parents having loud, aggressive sex through the thin walls of the house, an experience that left him both repulsed and fascinated by sexuality. At Heritage Christian School, a private fundamentalist institution his parents enrolled him in from 1st through 10th grade, Brian was taught creationism, warned about the coming apocalypse, and told that rock music was satanic. The hypocrisy he perceived in the school's administration, rumors of molestation, teachers who drank in secret, fed a lifelong distrust of authority. He began writing horror stories and poetry in spiral notebooks, signing them Marilyn Manson as early as age 13, combining the first name of Marilyn Monroe with the surname of Charles Manson. The juxtaposition of beauty and evil became his guiding aesthetic. 1987, after transferring to Canton's public Glen Oak High School for his senior year, Brian discovered Baudelaire, Nietzsche, Anton LaVey, and Aleister Crowley. He graduated with decent grades and enrolled at Broward Community College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in 1988, ostensibly to study journalism. His real education, however, took place at nightclubs and in the pages of magazines like 25th Parallel, where he worked as a music journalist. South Florida in the late 1980s was a cultural wasteland of hair metal and freestyle. Brian, now going by Brian Warner, interviewed bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Depeche Mode, but he hated the music scene. He was more interested in performance artists like Corinne Finley and Gigi Allen. In 1989, he formed a band with guitarist Scott Putesky, later Daisy Berkowitz, called Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. The name was perfect, cartoonish, sinister, and instantly memorable. The early Spooky Kids shows were pure shock theater. Brian wore dresses made of meat, set Bibles on fire, had girls in cages, and screamed lyrics about abortion and child abuse while a drummer in a diaper beat on trash cans. They quickly became the most infamous act in Fort Lauderdale. Trent Reznor, then recording the Downward Spiral at 10,050 CeeLo Drive, the former Sharon Tate mansion, saw them open for 9 Inch Nails in December 1993 and immediately signed them to his new label, Nothing Records. The first album under the shortened name Marilyn Manson, Portrait of an American Family 1994, produced by Reznor, was raw industrial metal laced with samples from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Charles Manson interviews. It sold modestly but established the template: grotesque imagery, anti-Christian rhetoric, and a charismatic frontman who looked like a corpse dragged through a hot topic. The real explosion came with Antichrist Superstar 1996. Recorded in New Orleans under immense pressure, Reznor reportedly locked the band in the studio for months. The album was a concept piece about a worm becoming an angel of death. Tracks like The Beautiful People and Tourniquet became alt-rock radio staples. Manson tore up a Book of Mormon on stage in Salt Lake City, told the world he was the Antichrist, and appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone with the headline Sympathy for the Devil. The tour was chaos. In 1996-97, Manson was blamed for everything from school shootings, years before Columbine, to the suicide of a 16-year-old Irish fan. Christian groups picketed shows. Senators Joseph Lieberman and Orrin Hatch called for his music to be banned. Manson responded by wearing an American flag as a cape and screaming, "Kill God, kill your mom and dad, kill yourself." Privately, he was spiraling. Cocaine, absinthe, and prescription pills became daily staples. He began cutting himself on stage. Daisy Berkowitz quit mid-tour, citing Manson's growing megalomania. Twiggy Ramirez, Geordie White became the new creative foil. Burned out on black leather and Satanism, Manson reinvented himself as a pale androgynous alien for Mechanical Animals, 1998. Inspired by David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust and the decadence of 1970s cocaine culture, the album debuted at number 1, the first industrial record to do so. The Dope Show won a Grammy nomination, and Manson appeared in a mechanical breastplate and orange contact lenses on the cover of Rolling Stone again. He began dating Rose McGowan, moved into a castle-like house in the Hollywood Hills, and partied with Johnny Depp and Kate Moss. For a brief moment, he was the most famous rock star on Earth. Then came Columbine. On April 20, 1999, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold murdered 13 people at Columbine High School. Early reports claimed the killers were Manson fans who listened to him constantly. The rumor was false. Harris actually hated Manson, but it didn't matter. Overnight, Manson became America's scapegoat. Tours were canceled, death threats poured in. He went into hiding. His response was Holy Wood in the Shadow of the Valley of Death, 2000, a dense, furious concept album about celebrity, guns, and Christ. Critics called it his masterpiece. Fans called it too late. Post 9/11, America had no patience for theatrical Satanists. Manson married Dita Von Teese in a non-denominational ceremony at Castle Gertine in Ireland in 2005, but the relationship was already crumbling under his drug use and infidelity. They divorced in 2007. Musically, he chased trends he didn't understand: electroclash on the golden age of grotesque 2003, Heartland rock on Eat Me, Drink Me 2007. Both albums had moments of brilliance but felt like a man screaming into a void that no longer cared. He dated Evan Rachel Wood, 19 years his junior, in 2007. The relationship would later become the centerpiece of decades of accusations. Twiggy Ramirez rejoined for the high end of Low 2009, and for a moment it felt like a return to form. Then everything collapsed. Longtime keyboardist Madonna Wayne Gacy sued for unpaid royalties. Drummer Ginger Fish quit. Bassist Twiggy was fired in 2017 after rape allegations from ex-girlfriend Jessica Adams of Jack Off Jill. Manson's behavior grew erratic. He punched a security guard. He brandished a fake rifle at a San Bernardino concert days after the Pulse nightclub shooting. He cut himself on stage again. In 2018, he released Heaven Upside Down, a solid industrial record that barely anyone noticed. On November 4, 2019, during a show in San Bernardino, Manson climbed atop a stage prop gun and pretended to fire into the crowd while screaming "bang, bang, bang." Less than 48 hours later, Evan Rachel Wood posted on Instagram nomming him as her abuser for the first time. In February 2021, Wood went public on Instagram. "The name of my abuser is Brian Warner, also known to the world as Marilyn Manson." Within days, multiple women, Ashley Walters, Esme Bianco, Ashley Morgan, Sarah McNeely, and others, came forward with allegations of sexual assault, psychological abuse, imprisonment, and torture. Game of Thrones actress Esme Bianco described being whipped, electrocuted, and cut with a Nazi knife. Photographer Ashley Lindsay Morgan claimed Manson kept a soundproof "bad girls' room" where women were locked and tortured. Manson denied everything, calling the accusations horrible distortions of reality. His label Loma Vista dropped him. His agency CAA dropped him. He was edited out of American Gods and Creepshow episodes. 2 lawsuits, one by Bianco, one by an unnamed Jane Doe, moved forward. In 2022, Los Angeles County DA George Gascon declined to prosecute due to lack of corroborating evidence in the cases within statute of limitations. Bianco settled her civil suit in 2023. The Jane Doe case was dismissed in May 2023 after her lawyer withdrew, citing threats and document tampering. In August 2023, Manson pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor charge of blowing his nose on a videographer in New Hampshire in 2019. He was fined $1,400 and ordered to write a letter of apology. In 2024, he attempted a comeback, releasing the single As Sick as the Secrets Within and announcing a North American tour. Protests followed every date. In San Diego, 300 people demonstrated outside the venue. As of December 2025, Brian Warner is 56 years old. He lives quietly in Los Angeles with his girlfriend Lindsay Usich, now fiancée, whom he began dating in 2010 and quietly married sometime in 2020 during the pandemic. He paints watercolors, collects absinthe spoons, and has largely retreated from public life. His memoir The Long Hard Road Out of Hell 1998 remains in print. New generations discover Antichrist superstar and mechanical animals on TikTok and declare them classics. He is simultaneously one of the most influential rock artists of the 1990s and one of the most reviled men of the 21st century. To some, he is a free speech martyr who was canceled for art that was always meant to provoke. To others, he is a predator who used fame and theatrics as camouflage. The truth, as always with Marilyn Manson, is probably somewhere in the gray area he spent his entire career trying to inhabit. He once said, "I never said to be like me, I said to be like you and make a difference." Whether that difference was liberation or destruction depends entirely on who you ask. And the debate, like the makeup and the contact lenses, will never fully wash off.